Today we're going to be building the Utility Hunter Knife Kit, KKBL016. This kit has the steel finger guard, and we'll be using our pre-machined Zebrawood handle scales and 3/16" steel pin stock. This is what it will look like roughly when finished. We also have a brass finger guard version, as well as other types of pin stocks and woods that you can use. Comes in a nice gift box, so we're going to start just by getting it out of the gift box. And the first thing that we're going to do, this is both to protect the blade and protect our hands, is we're just going to take some blue tape and we're going to wrap the blade. Once we're done wrapping the blade, we're going to take our handle scales and we want to check and see exactly which side of the handle scale we want to be out. And then once we figured that out, we're going to butt it up flush against the finger guard, make sure that we've got meat left over on the outside, and then we're just going to wrap it with a blue tape to kind of hold it in place when we get ready to drill it. We're only going to do one side at a time. So now we're going to take this and we're going to put it on our drill press. We're going to go ahead and drill the first hole. Now after we drill the first hole, just to help secure it even further and make sure that our holes line up perfectly, we will go ahead and install a piece of the pin stock in the first hole prior to drilling the second hole. Once we finish drilling our second hole, we'll take that handle scale off and we'll put the handle scale on the other side, and then we will drill the holes in it. Now that we've finished both scales, we're going to go ahead and mix our epoxy. In this case, we're using DevCon 2-ton epoxy, but there are many versions. You can get it in a lot of different places. We've got it. You can get it at your local hardware store. Just be sure that when you're ready to mix it, once you've mixed it, you got to really be ready to go. So now we're just going to take it and we're going to make sure that we completely cover our handle scales here. So it doesn't have to be very thick, but it does need to cover everywhere. So you want to make sure that you don't have any voids. And we're going to put this on both of our scales, and then we're going to put our scales onto the tang. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of roughly line up the holes here, and then we're going to take our pin stock and we're going to dry fit it. So don't put the epoxy on it initially. We just want to make sure that our holes on both sets of both handles and the tang all line up the way that we want them to be. And then once we see that everything lines up, we'll take the pin stock out and then we'll go ahead and epoxy it, and then we'll put it back in. At this point, we're going to go ahead and clamp down our scales. The most important thing is to make sure that you've got even pressure. It doesn't have to be excessive, but you want to have even pressure across the scale, and this will help it make sure that we get a good fit and that you don't have any voids, you don't have any gaps in it. I generally recommend that you wait 24 hours. Even though some of the epoxies may say you can work with it faster, I would make sure to give it 24 hours so that it fully cures. And then as you can see, we've got a good bit of pin stock sticking out. You can sand that down, as generally the pin stock is going to be a soft metal, but you could also just take a saw and go ahead and saw these off a little bit closer. Once you get them closer to where you want them to be, then you're going to go ahead and peen them. Of course, if you choose to use a mosaic penstock to do this, you would not do the peening. You would simply epoxy them in and cut it down. All right, so now we are ready for sanding. And of course, we're going to start with a slightly more coarse sanding belt to take the most meat off. And then as we get closer to our finished product, we'll go to a finer and finer grit. A couple of things to keep in mind anytime that you're doing sanding like this, especially when you're using a sander grinder, is that it's going to take meat off pretty quick. You can, of course, create any type of handle design that you want, right? You can make it thinner, you can keep it thicker, you can kind of change the shape of it. But just remember that once you've taken wood away, you can't put it back. So go easy, stop a lot, feel it. Make sure that you like the way that it's feeling and the way that it's looking, because again, if you go too far, there's no going back. Once we're done with the final sanding, we can go to a buffing wheel and you can buff it out. You can buff out the handle, the tang, the finger guard, the blade, and get it to any finish that you desire. Then we're just going to remove the tape and we're going to do a final cleaning of everything and we will be done. Certainly hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please be sure to like this video and go ahead and click subscribe down below, because we're going to have new videos coming out regularly for all the different knife kits, knife sheaths, holsters, things like that. We're going to be adding up a lot of DIY videos as we go. Also, if you like this particular kit, simply click the link below and it will take you right to our website where you can purchase the kit and all the necessary materials to build it.